I want to create a songwriting obsession. I want to wake up in the morning thinking about songwriting. I want to go to bed thinking about songwriting. I want to be fully immersed in the craft of writing songs, because I believe that if I get addicted to songwriting, I'm going to create better songs. I'm going to create more songs. And if I create more songs, I'm going to create better songs. And if I create better songs, I will engage a larger audience. And if I engage a larger audience, then I might be able to further monetize my music. I've just started to monetize my music a little bit, and I just need a huge boost. I just need to put in a lot of time and a lot of effort. In order to do that, I want to get addicted to songwriting. So if you are in a similar boat, if you are trying to get, you're a musician, regardless of what level you are, I'm sure you're trying to make more music and create more songs, then this video could be helpful for you. Or if you're a lot farther along your journey than I am, maybe you could drop some advice in the comments, because I'm going to share my plan for getting addicted to songwriting, because that's my goal. I want to get it. In my life, when I haven't really, if I'm being really honest with myself, I haven't really mastered a skill. I haven't really become elite at a given skill. But the times that I've gotten decent at something, the times that I have impressed myself with an increase in my ability, have been when I've formed an obsession with something. Because I remember as a junior tennis player, I wasn't like an amazing tennis player, but I remember getting obsessed in high school, where you just couldn't pull me off the court, and I just wanted to play a bunch. And I remember after practice, there'd be a 2-hour practice, and then I would hit for an hour after that. And then sometimes I'd go for a run after that to try to improve my speed, because I used to not be fast, and that was something that I wanted to improve. And I'd really train my mile time up, and I just got obsessed with improving my tennis game. And I did eventually, for the class of 2011, I'm dating myself right now, but the class of 2011, my graduating class, I did end up being 555 in the country, which was pretty cool for me. Again, that's good enough to play at a lot of D3 schools. Was not good enough to play at University of Wisconsin-Madison, where I went to undergrad. But I made humongous leaps in my ability when I formed this obsession. I remember especially my freshman and sophomore year of high school. And then my junior and senior year, I kind of got distracted. I got more into hanging out with friends, and I got a little bit distracted. But there was this period where I was really obsessed, and I want to do something similar like that. Similar thing happened. If you guys will allow me one more tangent, a similar thing happened to me with software engineering. I remember there was this time, I got really into writing code, you know what I mean? And there was this time where I'd get up and I'd be barely awake, and I'd be looking at code. It was within 2 minutes of waking up, I was looking at code. And again, there are software engineers that have run laps around me, way better engineers than I ever was. But through this obsessive coding, I improved a lot, and that's when I got promotions as a software engineer, and I moved up, and I got a lot of recognition and responsibility, autonomy, all this good stuff. I worked at CNN, the large media org, as a software engineer for a long time, but it was during this obsessive period that I got a lot better, and then I fell off of it and whatnot. So I'm trying to cultivate this obsession for songwriting, and so here's my plan. So let's get into it, because this has been a little bit of a long intro. The first thing I am going to do is I need to lower cheap dopamine. I need to, because if my brain is, because writing songs is super fun, but it is never going to be able to compete with like easier rewards. You know what I mean? Like if I have this great song idea, it's a little bit of a longer process, right? I might think of a song idea when I'm riding on the train, or when I'm walking somewhere, or when I'm in a taxi or something like that, in an Uber or something like that, or when I see a painting or something like that. And so then I'll have this great inspiration, right? But then I have to make a lot of work. I have to do a lot of work to see that to reality. You know what I mean? And if that gap is going to be longer than something else, like that like idea to reward takes a bit of time, versus if I have an idea to scroll on Instagram and then I just click on that app and I start scrolling, I'm going to get a reward right away. So I want to lower cheap dopamine activities like Instagram scrolling. Like for me, the main two ones are Instagram scrolling and just like scrolling on Safari, especially through Reddit, scrolling through Reddit on my app, or like Googling. Usually I Google stuff and then like end up on Reddit or Quora. Those are the main two time sucks for me, where it's just like I get this idea, or scrolling through Instagram. I get these idea, and then all of a sudden I'm like scrolling. And I'm just like Googling stuff, like, and my brain becomes really distractible. And then it's very difficult for writing a song to seem fun. It'd be really difficult to be addicted to writing songs if I'm spending a lot of time, or even not even a lot, but even if I'm spending a substantial amount of time scrolling through Instagram or scrolling through Safari. So I'm going to lower those activities, and how I'm going to do it is I'm going to set, or like I've already set time limits on my Safari use, and that's the first thing. And then on Instagram, what I'm doing is I'm following a lot of like self-improvement type content, so that when I do find myself scrolling, a lot of times I see self-improvement content that gets me excited to honestly get off the app and go and start doing stuff in the real world. So I'm following a lot of self-improvement content, and then I'm deleting the app after using it a lot of times. So like I should ideally delete it every time I use it, but the whole idea is if I delete the app and I have this, going back to our original like concept, if I have this idea that I want to go and get a reward, quote unquote reward, by scrolling through Instagram, and it takes me a little bit longer to download the app. Like by the time the app is downloading, I might decide, I actually don't really want to go on Instagram right now, and then I might just stop the download. So the second thing I'm going to do is delete the app. So first thing is lower cheap dopamine, and how I'm going to do that, how I am doing that, set time limit on Safari on my phone, follow on Instagram, real self-improvement, a lot more self-improvement content, and interact with it, so the algorithm train the algorithm to show me way more self-improvement content, and delete the app after I'm done using it. So that's the first thing, and I think that's honestly probably the most important one. So that's the first one. The second one, this is probably the most obvious one, is I'm gonna do something musical every single day that I can, and ideally every single day. So this can come in many forms. Obviously, there's practicing instruments. I'm most comfortable on guitar, getting better at piano, and I'm getting better at ukulele. And I actually just bought a flute, and I'm super beginner at that. I haven't even been able to blow a single note, clear note yet. But I'm in India right now, and I didn't bring any instruments, and this dude was selling a flute, so I just bought it impulsively. But spending any time with any instrument, I don't care what it is, I don't care how beginner I am, just spend any time with any instrument. That's one way. Songwriting is another one, lyric writing is another one. So doing exercises like object writing is a really good exercise. It only takes 10 minutes. Writing like 16 lines of rap is an exercise. Vocal exercises. So there's a lot of different things like I can do in that realm. So that's the second thing I can do. The third thing I'm going to do, and I have been doing honestly a lot lately, is embrace a healthy lifestyle. So doing things like spending time in nature, going on a lot of walks outside in nature, spending time lifting weights, spending time, a bunch of time meditating, spending time taking cold showers, spending time eating a lot of fruits and vegetables, eating a lot of protein, reading, just read, maybe just randomly sit down and say, okay, I'm going to just read for an hour straight, or I'm going to read 50 pages, or whatever it is, sleep 8 to 9 hours a night if possible, or as many nights as you can. Because the more I do things like this, the more mental clarity I will have, and the more mental clarity I have, the easier it is going to be for me to write songs, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, and so this, like, improving this mental clarity, I think is going to help a lot when, because how I end up writing most of my songs is like I'm doing, if we jump back to tip number 2 for a second, which is do something musical every day. A lot of times I'll just be doing something musical and then inspiration will strike, and then I'll start writing a song, and then I keep coming back to it for a couple days, and then it's written, or a few days, or sometimes it takes longer. But if I have more mental clarity, I think a lot more practice musical jamming sessions are going to turn into songs. So that's the third thing: increase mental clarity through healthy living as much as possible. The fourth thing I want to do is, I got this little, I wrote these out. I have a little notebook next to me. The fourth thing I'm going to do is hang around artistic people as much as possible. They don't necessarily have to be musicians, but hang around artistic people as much as possible, and hang around musical environments. I like when I do live in Atlanta, but I've been traveling a lot. But when I'm in Atlanta, there's a lot of open mic nights. There's this really cool acoustic singer-songwriters night at this place called Eddie's Attic, where you get to see people perform original music, going to concerts, doing all these things really inspires me to work on my craft, because I see other people doing it, and then I can, it's almost like I'm inspired by them, and subconsciously I'm like, okay, if they're doing it, I can do it too, because I remember, again, bringing it back to like earlier in this video, when I was really obsessed with tennis, I was going to a lot of tournaments. I was going to professional tournaments to watch people. I was hanging out with like a lot of my good friends were playing tennis. And I just always want to improve my game, because I was just around tennis a lot. And I want to do that same thing with art. I want to be around artists more, because I think when I'm around artists more, I'm just going to be more excited to work on my own artistic craft. So that's the next thing is spend more time with artists and of any sort, and ask them about their art, and really just like embrace that push you get when you're around people who like to create like me. So that's the fourth thing. And then the fifth thing is a lesson that I learned. It kind of goes with my tip number 2, which is do something musical every day, but it is worth calling out, and it's embrace habit stacking to practice even more. So I read this book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and one of my favorite concepts from that book is to embrace habit stacking. So habit stacking is when you take a habit that you already have and you stack another habit with it. So I'll give you an example. Like, I lately have adopted a little bit of a bad habit of getting addicted to coffee, and I pretty much drink coffee once a day. I don't drink more than once a day, but I start to fiend a little bit for coffee in the early afternoon, if I haven't had a cup by the early afternoon. But I know that's not a good thing, but what I have done is I've stacked that habit. Maybe this is a bad example, but this is habit stacking. I've stacked that habit with meditation. So a lot of times I'll drink coffee and meditate for 20 to 30 minutes, like usually for like 5 to 10 minutes as the coffee is like cooling to a good sipping temp. And then I'll like sip the coffee in like just a really mindful way. And then after, I'll meditate for like another 10 or 20 minutes. So like I end up just like meditating over my coffee for like 30 minutes. So a similar habit stack that I have been starting to do, at least when I'm in Atlanta, is a lot of times I take a cold shower in the morning and then a hot shower at night before bed. And a lot of time, sometimes I just take a hot shower and then I like go to bed pretty soon after. But a lot of times I make a cup of chamomile tea or some sort of like herbal tea, and I just chill for like 20 minutes. And what I've been doing is, when I am doing that, when I do make that cup of tea at night, I've been playing the piano, because I don't know, for whatever reason, I've just been playing the piano during that time. So I've habit stacked that, and I've only do that a couple times a week, which is fine. But I do randomly. I'm like, if I'm like somehow getting to bed a little bit earlier, I'm not tired yet, I end up making a cup of chamomile tea, and I'm just gonna like play piano now whenever I do that. So I thought that one was worth mentioning, even though it kind of ties into number 2, which is practice more. So to recap, number 1, how I plan to get to create an addiction to songwriting. Number 1 is lower cheap dopamine. Number 2, and for me that's going to be specifically limiting scrolling on Instagram and scrolling on Safari, scrolling on Google. Number 2, it's going to be do something musical every single day. Number 3, it's going to be embracing a healthy lifestyle. Number 4, I gotta look at number 4. Oh yeah, number 4, it's going to be hanging out with more artistic people. And number 5, I don't know why I keep saying it's going to be. Number 5 is use habit stacking to my advantage. So those are the 5 things I've been planning on doing to fall deep into a songwriting addiction. Please let me know in the comments if you're a songwriter and you have ideas, or if there's something I'm missing here that's glaringly obvious. Please let me know, because I really want to succeed in creating. It sounds weird saying creating addiction, but I don't know why I kind of like that term, songwriting addiction. I saw this other guy's video, how to create a drawing addiction, and that was the inspiration for this video, me creating this video. So that was a great video, by the way. But yeah, if you have any ideas for how I can create this songwriting addiction, please let me know. And if you found this content useful or helpful or resonated in any way, please leave me a like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And I think that's all I got for now. So I'm gonna play some of the music that I'm gonna play a song that I created recently, and I will talk to y'all in the next one. All right, take care.
Let me out cause I'm feeling still crazy. I've been in and out of good moods lately. More and more I run, the more the shit chase me. Holds me down like some ankle weights that I can't see.